Welcome to another interesting edition of Big Talk, a program where we highlight political issues in Nigeria and how we can actually move the country forward. It's all about Nigeria, and Team Nigeria will continue to stay for a long time. It's been a few days since we celebrated our 65th anniversary of independence. A day that to a lot of Nigerians in the political scene, some say we've done well at 65 since we got independence from Britain. And some say that a lot of things are left undone, especially when it comes to infrastructural development, education, and the welfare of the people, and even our remuneration and different other indices like our health sector. But in all of this conversation, there's one thing that is very important: the political atmosphere, the political terrain of Nigeria. It is where we get leaders, and these leaders make policy, influence decision, and ultimately these policies drive our economy and drive even our political system. Welcome to Big Talk. Tonight on the program, we'll look at the role of political parties in Nigeria's progress at 65. What role do political parties play, and what role are political parties played in time to make sure Nigeria is where we are? Are those roles negative or positive? We'll have an expert that will be helping us as we have this discussion tonight on the program. But let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll get straight into our discussion. My name is Wong Osoro, saying welcome. Okay, so tonight joining us to make sense of a discussion, Nigeria's progress, the role of political parties in nation building, we have Mr. Solomon, or Honorable Solomon Abgwa, who was an APC chieftain in Kogi State and a one-time DG APC campaign in Basa local government area in Kogi State. A very good evening to you, Honorable. Thank you for joining us tonight on the program.
Good evening, Usoro.
It's nice to have you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening. It's good to have you too.
All right, so tonight on my program, we're looking at Nigeria's progress, the role of political parties in driving the progress of Nigeria. And there are a lot of discussions as to how democracy has treated Nigeria. I'd like to have your view, maybe from 1999, because we're actually going to look at successive political parties and how they've influenced nation building, influence policy in Nigeria. But maybe from 1999, what's your thoughts, your immediate thoughts about how democracy have driven Nigeria and how the direction that our political parties who have been the ones leading the country through elections been able to lead Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Usoro. Good evening, Nigerians, and happy 65th independence to Nigeria. The truth of the matter is, it is very, very clear that from 1999 that Nigeria embraced a democratic governance. It is clear that our country has shifted from military dictatorship that used to be to a democratic setting. From that 1999 till now, a lot have happened in Nigeria. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria have shifted into a country that are good in democratic governance. Democracy generally promotes political participation. There is no way you can talk about democracy without talking about political parties. If you see from 1999, there have been a lot of evolution of political parties. We didn't start with APC in 1999. We started with ANPP and we started it with PDP and others. But today you can see that democracy have evolved and a lot of things have taken shape. So also governance at states. The very unfortunate thing that has happened in Nigeria since democracy returned is the issue of local governments. Local governments have been the most negatively affected sector in this our democratic dispensation. If you come to the state, take for example in Kogi State, let me use the present administration of Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo. The government came and utilized every democratic structure. How do I mean by utilizing democratic structure? The state is divided into 3 senatorial districts. Every project that is going to be cited in a senatorial district A must also be cited in the Central District B and Central District C. That is the way democracy is done, and that is the way governance is being felt by the people. If you go to Nigeria as a whole, there is no way that the average Nigerian will not complain. If you look at what is happening now, we have had some level of bad leadership too. We are also trying to come out from a lot of economic woes. And in all of these things, democracy have always persevered. Whether we like it or not, democracy have found its root in Nigeria. And it has provided a better platform for political representation, policy formulation and implementation, and national integration. Accountability and opposition. Opposition in a democracy is also very, very, very interesting. I'm only trying to summarize everything because of my time. The opposition have a very big role to play in any democratic setting. At every electoral time, it is only one party that will emerge victorious. Then the other party that loses should form a very viable opposition. Viable opposition, not to intimidate anybody, but viable opposition in order to put our leaders to their toes and hold our leaders accountable. The opposition is very, 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 very weak in Nigeria. The last time Nigeria saw viable opposition was in 2013-2014 when APC came in. APC did a wonderful job in forming a very good coalition and opposition to the PDP. And at the end of the day, they took power. That is how opposition works. So opposition is also a very good ingredient for proper democratic institution. And then we also now rule out the aspect of electoral governance, that is INEC. INEC being the major arbiter of our election in Nigeria, they also need to up their game. We're in the world that they have perfect election, but INEC needs to do a lot. Few days ago, I saw that the European Union were still with INEC, and they said they made a lot of recommendations to INEC, particularly as it arises from the last general election in 2023. INEC have a lot of work to do. Proper legislation in order to give room for adequate technology, and then also civic education for Nigerians to understand that power actually belongs in their hands. We need a lot of work, a lot of civic education need to be done, because a lot of people do not understand this democracy. All they need is, and the day of election, go to the polling unit. Some they will even buy votes and go. Some they will not even want to vote.
Right.
So
Okay.
INEC need to do a lot of civic education in order to continue to promote our democratic institutions in Nigeria.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. In the First Republic, that's from 1960 to 1966, we had parties like the NCNC, NPC, and the rest. And that republic, that democratic, rule was not able to be sustained because people say ethnic tensions and a lot of factors that came into play, and we had what happened actually happened. The military came in, and that was done for. So I'll ask a question. There are questions about corruption in democracy. That democracy has actually plundered Nigeria into depths of corruption never seen before. I'd like to ask, is it the kind of government that we are running? Is something wrong with our democracy? And as our democracy developed the country in any way? After 65 years, electricity is not still stable. At least the places in a lot of places in Nigeria do not have stable electricity, and there are a lot of other things that we can also mention as to what has not been done right in the country.
Thank you very much, Usoro. In 1966 that you said, it is very, very correct. Nigeria started on a very, very good note. But for me as an individual, I believed the Europeans or the white people, they left this country too early. They should have stayed longer to help build our institutions. And that is why, because we didn't have strong institutions at that time, and that is why the First Republic collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't sustain it. Look at the time South Africa gained their own proper independence. Not that they were not independent, but the power was still with the whites. And in South Africa today, South Africa is one of the best developed countries in Africa, because these people are sincere, whether we like it or not. In Nigeria, corruption is a very, very, very big chapter in this country. There are too many loopholes. Democracy has provided too many loopholes for corruption to fester. And I thank Mr. President on his anti-corruption campaign and his anti-corruption stand. The only way you can stem corruption is to do everything to avoid those loopholes. Where there are pipe drains, you block it so that people will not have access to funds. Okay, look at what happened in the refinery. Nigerians were told everywhere, every day, that the refineries are working. At the end of the day, what happened? Nobody seemed to understand. And EFCC is busy chasing people here and there that they stole money that was meant for the rehabilitation of the refineries. So democracy, whether as we speak, Nigerians have not felt the true democratic governance that is applicable in different countries. Democracy is supposed to provide adequate health facility. Democracy is supposed to provide good schools. Democracy is supposed to provide good roads for your people. That is what democracy is. But in Nigeria, it is not like this everywhere. There are some states that governance is being felt by the people. There are some places that governance is not felt by the people. Nigerians are still not yet in the committee of people who have seen democratic dividends. Go to the local government. Local governments they are not functioning well. There's no local government that you go today that you see a local government chairman that has the capacity to tar even 10 kilometers of road. It's becoming difficult every day. So Nigeria need to strengthen our institutions in order to curb corruption. As long as our institutions are weak, this corruption will continue to fester. That is the major thing the country needs to do. As long as we must continue in our democratic governance, our institutions must be strengthened.
Right.
Then the anti-corruption laws must not be directly in the hands of the president. I am of the view that the president has the power to hire and fire who is in charge of the anti-corruption agency. So there's no way that the president will not dictate to his own tune. So if you want to have a viable anti-corruption system that will not look at anybody's face, that will not listen to the voice of his appointee, the anti-corruption agency must be independent of both the judiciary and both the executive.
Right.
This is the way to go. When people are not punished for what they do, every other person will fail. He can pass through that road and go away.
All right. So
Nigeria must rise up to the fact that people must be punished for what they do.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so I'd like to ask now, we've had several interruptions in our democracy, and I think the height of it was the annulment of the June 12 election in 1993. I like that you talk about how that interruption, those interruptions, several of them, have affected our political system and even our political party systems. Were there negative or positive effects to the many interruptions we had as to how our republic was even structured? In the first place, we're running a parliamentary system, right? And we kept having, these different interruptions, and today look at the presidential system that we run, and people have had arguments as to how the many states we have, has it really brought development as compared to when we had just the regions as we had at the time?
Well, in this country, the politicians have succeeded in dividing us very sharply across religious, across cultural, across tribal line. Gone are the days where political participation does not know where you come from, does not know which tribe you come from, does not know the state you come from. That's time. Whatever you are going to do politically, you'll be talking of your regions. And that was the last time Nigeria seemed to have a holistic approach to governance. If you go to the Southwest, when there was regional government, you will see, if you go there up till now, you will see some of the legacy projects that regional administration did that time. If you come to the North too, you will see some of the developments that the regional government did that time under the leadership of Sir Ahmadu Bello. The same thing in the Southwest when Awolowo was there. So one way or the other, this government touched people's life, and that is why you will see the debate is still on that Nigeria should go back to regional government. People seem to feel that is going to come with a lot of saving grace, but democracy is not like that. We'll keep saying it. Leadership is not about. It's not supposed to be a selfish thing. It's supposed to be a selfless arrangement where you are going to come, get to the office, get to public office, do your best, impart life, and then exit. But in Nigeria, so many states, a lot of things are happening in so many states that if you go to some states, you will still see people teaching under the trees. If you go to some states, you will still see people who cannot even afford basic health needs. And that is why, like I told you earlier, I will still commend, I have not traveled everywhere, but I know of what is happening in Kogi State. The government of Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo have done wonderfully well in primary healthcare developments. What they did was very simple. They returned back to the wards and back to the polling units. Every primary health care center, they are either refurbished, rehabilitated, or rebuilt. In fact, in some cases, if it can no longer sustain any kind of humanity, they bring it down and they build a new one. That's exactly what's happening in Kogi State across all the wards. So
right.
this is the system. Until Nigeria treads to this way, that is when development will begin to get to the people at the grassroots. It is not enough to say the state capitals are doing well. No, 75% of Nigerians are living in the rural area. This is where government power, government effort needs to be felt. And that is why there's normally this acronym. They say there's nowhere that there's no polling unit that electoral materials will not go. But so many polling unit development will not reach. So
all right.
Democratic governance, whether it is regional, whether it is parliamentary, whether it is presidential, it still boils down on leadership. It doesn't know your kind of face. What your people need is selfless leadership.
All right.
That is just the thing. It doesn't matter with the kind of the pattern of governance. No, pattern of governance does not determine the kind of food somebody will eat in his house. But who is holding the food? Who is holding the food? That is what matters.
Right. Okay, Honorable Abua, I'd like to ask now. In the Fourth Republic, 1999, we had the PDP, People's Democratic Party, being formed by the 5 founding fathers, and we saw them take over power. And they were in power from that time, 1999 to 2015. I like that you talk about the period where the PDP held sway as the ruling party in Nigeria. Between 1999 and 2015, did we see progress in Nigeria? Were there developments as to the leadership of that particular political party?
Of course. There's no way that Nigeria did not see development. We saw leadership under President Obasanjo. Nigeria, as at that time, everywhere you go, they will be telling you that Nigeria nascent democracy, all the mistakes and errors were done within 1999 and 2003. Now to 2007. A lot of Nigeria moved from being an unknown technological country to a technologically advanced country because we had GSM that time and so many other policies that PDP came up with. But however, in politics, one of the greatest undoing of PDP was electoral reforms. The PDP were not ready to do electoral reforms for Nigerians, for that reforms to give Nigeria proper electoral participation. They didn't do that. All what they did was that the moment you find your name in the list on the good books of who is your leader, the moment they pronounce you that you are a ticket holder, you are automatically a winner. That was what was happening. Then go to what they did in the Southwest in 2003. You understand? And all the whole of Southwest were rigged out, except Lagos, when Tinubu was the president, was the governor. Sorry. So these are the kind of leadership mistakes that PDP did, and that was why PDP felt like a pack of cards. The APC provided an alternative of that kind of leadership, and that's why you see, if you go to some states, for example in Edo, a sitting governor in another party can contest election and win. During the days of PDP, it can't happen. If it is not PDP, nobody wins.
But in the time of PDP, we had Adams Oshomole. Adams Oshomole won under the platform of the Labour Party.
No, he won through the courts.
But he won. Peter Obi won. Peter Obi was a governor under PDP.
Peter Obi was just a branch of PDP. Abga was just a branch of PDP. They are the same as at that time. But I can tell you categorically that major political upheaval that took part in the West is because of their progressiveness. Plenty people in the Southwest understand the fact that when power is given, it cannot be taken, and that's why they went through the courts. And you knew the stress they went. The same thing happened in Osun State with Ralph Aregbesola. It happened in Ondo State with Mimiko. So it is through the courts that they were able to get that and look at how did the president of the Court of Appeal that time, how did it end with Jonathan? He was unceremoniously removed. So these are the issues that happened during the PDP era, and that has affected democratic institutions. Whether we want to see it in this way, but this is the fact. If Nigeria must progress democratically, then more people should be able to express their feeling in the ballot box. We can no longer go back to military coup where somebody will sit down and say, I have taken over power. No, it doesn't work like that.
Right, still a follow-up to that question, Honorable. Honorable, still a follow-up to the question now. So, in 2015, we had your party, the APC. Prior to 2015, we saw the formation of your party in 2014. a major of the ACN, some part of the CPC, some part of APGA and all of that. They came together as a major and we had the APC. So will you say that the APC have turned out dividends of democracy to Nigerians, especially from 2015 to 2023? Where we had Muhammadu Buhari, and even maybe till date. I like that you talk about how your party have actually, helped, assisted by the policies of the APC, how they have, led credence to Nigeria and how they've developed Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I keep saying, I have a general saying that I used to say that the president is just one man sitting in Abuja, while the governors are the ones running the state. The president cannot be everywhere, but the governors are everywhere. I can categorically tell you that from 2015 to date, Nigeria have fared better. If you talk about the economy, yes, there's nowhere in there's nowhere in the world now that has economic, that there's immunity against economic collapse or economic shake-ups. Everywhere have economic issues. So Nigeria does not have immunity against that. If you go to the issue of security, yes, before the issue of Boko Haram, it didn't start during the APC, it started during the PDP. But it is still there. Because these people are living among our people. They are living among Nigeria. They are Nigerians living within Nigeria. So security is a gradual thing. That one will go with time. If you talk of development, I am telling you there are so many monumental development that happened from 2015 to date. Are you going to talk about the trains? Are you going to talk about the second Niger bridge? Are you going to talk of various agricultural intervention program? So many things came up. And then look at what the major thing that came out is doing in the last 2 years, subsidy removal. Somebody will just sit down in his house and he will claim that he supplied 10,000 liters of fuel. He goes to NNPC, they will not even verify, they pay him and they go. We have seen so many people being convicted because of that kind of fraud. So subsidy is a very big fraud that has slowed the economic development of this country. I want to also commend the president for removing the subsidy and also doing the tax reform. Tax reform is just an opportunity for everybody to be able to earn according to what you invest. Right. Tax reform will bring about equity. Tax reform will bring a new thing that Nigerians will begin to appreciate the fact that, look, if you don't work in your state, the other state will come and they will have more. So it will make the governors to sit up. Everybody will now sit up and look inward.
Right, Honorable Bawa.
Work on how to develop industries.
Right.
Yes.
Just finish the thoughts. Finish the thoughts before I ask my question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it will make the governors to sit up. So, like I told you earlier, the president is just one man sitting in Abuja.
Right.
The governors run the country.
Okay. So, but remember that in 2015, Honorable, if you can remember, in 2015, the APC at the time campaigned on 3 key things: on corruption, that they were going to fight corruption. I still remember. They talked about the economy, that the economy was in shambles, and they were going to make the economy of Nigeria better. And they also talked about security. Looking at these 3 key indices that your party, at the time campaigned with, will you say fairly that they've done well? Because I want to go over to other questions.
Yes, APC have fared very well. APC have fared very well in these 3 key thematic areas you've just listed. And I told you in the issue of security, security is not a one-day issue. It's something that will go over time. If you talk of infrastructure, there are so many infrastructure development that have happened between 2015 and now. And then the economy of the country, yes, like I told you, there's no country in the world that have not experienced economic shocks, and Nigeria does not have immunity against that. So what we are passing through, we are going to come out of it. The important thing is having a clear-cut economic direction in which the present government is pursuing. President Muhammadu Buhari did not see the need to remove subsidy during his time, but this president saw the need to do it. So this is the way to go. Subsidy is something that Nigeria should have removed earlier, and I'm telling you that only the petroleum industry alone takes the chunk of our forests. It takes a chunk of our revenues. It takes the chunk of everything that this country will generate. So with the coming of the president now, there's no state, just like the president have said, there's no state that have not seen triple of own revenue earnings or allocation. What we are going to do is, this government, it is also too early to have a final nod on what the outcome of the government will look like. So all we need to do is to give it time. In the next 1 year, then we should be on a very good table in order to highlight how this government fared. But as it is now, I can tell you that Nigerians are satisfied with APC. APC will remain in government, and by the grace of God, 2027, APC will still win.
Right. And about Nigerians, Honorable, about Nigerians being satisfied with the APC, those are things that Nigerians themselves will actually give answers to. But let's go for a short break, Honorable, and when we go back, we'll talk about defections. We'll also talk about ideology of political parties. Do they really have ideology, and what are the ideologies of these political parties? We'll go for this break. This is Big Talk. We'll soon be back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk. Before we went on that break, let's go for a short break. A very good evening. Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is Big Talk on Global TV, a program where we highlight political issues around Nigeria and how to move the country forward. Tonight, joining us is we have Honorable Solomon Bawa, who is a chieftain of the APC in Kogi State, as we look at Nigeria's progress and the role of political parties in nation building. Okay, Honorable, before, let's just continue from where we left off. I'd like to ask about political ideology, because when we talk about political parties contributing to nation building, there are questions about do we even have political parties that have ideology in Nigeria, and what are they contributing if you can't readily divide the ideologies and understand the ideology of these political parties? For instance, in the US, if somebody is contesting under the Republican Party, there are some ideologies of the party that you can easily point to. The same thing goes to those who are contest under the Democratic Party. That's the Democrats. You could understand where they are going to, some ideological basis. But in Nigeria, what are the ideologies of the political parties, and have this affected the ability of these political parties to influence and to add value to our political system in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. You see, the major problem Nigerians have is issue of interest. Every political party that have always come on board, they pass through the necessary rudiments of manifesto, program, timelines, and action plans. But along the line, interest derail most of these things. Now, let me just take the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, for example. In 2006, Atiku wanted to be President of Nigeria. The PDP was no longer interested in fielding him. He went to another party. He went to APC. He went to AC, I think that time. And then along the line, he has changed many political parties. What is the reason? The reason is he just wants to become president. So sometimes, in fact, most times, it's not that the political parties are not formed with various ideologies and principles. They are. But human beings, Nigerians, those who are in corridors of power, the moment they assume power, nobody wants to leave. That is why the issue is. That is why you see somebody who is a House of Rep member, from House of Rep member, he wants to be a senator. From a senator, he wants to be a governor. Or after being a governor, he wants to be a senator. From a senator, he wants to be a president. No. That is the problem of Nigeria. It is not that the political parties do not have ideology. They do. But the Nigerians who participate in the electoral system, who have been representative in one way or the other, do not to abide by the ideologies of their party. Most Nigerian political party, as I speak to you, none of them are adhering to their own political ideologies. Nobody. You will see somebody contest primary election today in PDP because he lost the primary ticket. He moved to another party. No ideology. So it is no longer about ideology. It's about what, who, and how they get what they want. So Nigerians are, well, we'll get there.
Right. So a twin issue to the issue of ideology is the issue of defection, and it's quite worrisome that we have a lot of people defecting to your party, the APC, at this time, and there have been conversation around Nigeria turning into a one-party system. I like that you talk about defection, where governors who won election on the mandates of political parties like the PDP, for instance, in Akwa Ibom, in Delta, moved with all of the structures of their party, of that party, into the APC. Is that good for our democracy, and is that supporting nation building?
Well, for as far as that is concerned, our laws permit that. The electoral law, our constitution does not forbid anybody from participating or associating with any political or any kind of association he deems fit. No law stops them. So for now, just like I told you earlier, our laws and our institutions are the problem. If the concern of the country says that if you decamp to another party, you lose your position. Nobody will go. But they will tell you that the same people who are forming the laws are the same people who will defect. So who do you think will form the law? So the problem it is the law. The laws are the issue. The legislation. Nigeria needs stringent legislation that will stop people from defecting to another party or the other. If you believe in a party's political ideology, you join it, contest election, and win. Not when you go to another party whose ideology gave you power, you now move to the other one. For that of PDP and APC, well, I will not blame the APC. I will blame the PDP who cannot put their house together. You know, a house that is divided on itself. They say when two brothers are fighting, the strangers will always inherit the home. That's exactly what's happening in PDP. This one is fighting everywhere. There's fight everywhere. And if the governor of Akwa Ibom have seen that there's a lot of peace and respite in APC, of course, what stops him? As long as the law permits him. So if the PDP believe that they still have people and they have the structure and the people of Akwa Ibom are comfortable with PDP, 2027 is here. Let them go and test their might. But as long as our legislation, our laws do not stop people from defecting, I am telling you that it will continue to be so over time. Thank you.
Right. So there are also talks about political parties being active only during electioneering period. I like that you talked to that. Do you see political parties selling their ideology, getting involved in calling the government and holding them accountable, not only when it is during electioneering period?
So, well, that also depends on who is governing. You know, let me use Kogi State, for example. In 2015, when Yabelo became the governor, in order to have the party structure together, what the governor did was very simple. In each of the wards, all the ward chairmen became what he called ward governors. That is bringing governance to the grassroots. The political parties from the ward, from the bottom to the top, they were holistically involved in governance. You will see anywhere you see the governor, you will see the APC party chairman. You will see the APC executive. It means there's a synergy. They are working together. In every executive committee where you see where programs are being highlighted, you will see party people there. So that is how it's supposed to be. Party is not supposed to be just a vehicle for electoral representation. No. It's also supposed to be they are also supposed to be part of people who ensure that governance gets to the people according to what they promise them. Political party is supposed to form a basis through which there's going to be checks and balances. They are doing that. In my state, Kogi State, the APC is doing that, and that is why in most cases they used to form what they call town hall meetings. And then the party will call its stakeholders, all stakeholders elected on its platform. They will come, they will sit down, they will also come out with recommendation. They will also look at so many issues concerning governance. That will be discussed, and if the governor is not there, they will go to the governor. Your Excellency, these are the issues we told our people during campaign. We need you to do this, we need you to do this. That's how it's supposed to be.
Right. So I like to just follow up. For me, yes, go ahead. Just conclude the thought.
Yes, for me, political participation in governance is very, very key and very strategic for governance. It will also help our representative. It will also help the governor. It will help the president. It will help all our elected representatives, because the political party remains the vehicle that took them to where they are. So abandoning them is also very dangerous. Right. So they need to be together in order to achieve the common goal.
Right. So I'd like to ask, in these 65 years of existence, maybe apart from when we had the First Republic and all of that, from 1999, have we had active young people participation in our politics? And maybe you also want to talk about women, considering the fact that we are yet to have a female governor in Nigeria. We've had deputy governors as females, around 3 of them.
No, we've had governors.
I'm not an acting governor. Not acting governor. Go ahead and talk to us.
Well,
the governor that was elected, a female governor elected in Nigeria.
Nigerians during our 65 years of our independence, Nigerians at one time or the other have had the opportunity for young people to govern. General Gowon was president of this country at the age of 29 or thereabout. So that's a young person. Yahaya Bello was governor of Kogi State at 41 or 42. And it was during his tenure that you will see that you have the youngest commissioner at that time was at 29 or 30. It was during Yahaya Bello's tenure that all the vice chairmen of our local government all the elected vice chairmen were female. That's where the issue of female come in. And then if you go to all the local government, you will averagely from the governor down to the councillor in the world. I don't think the government of Yahaya Bello had that time. They didn't have anybody up to 50 years in government. Nobody. They didn't also relegate them. What they did was they now have what they call advisory services, and that advisory services were all formed across the 239 polling wards in Kogi State. At every ward, you have a government representative who is elderly. They didn't neglect the elders. But I can tell you categorically that Kogi State is a typical example of youth governance. From the governor of the state, the current governor of the state, who is just 43 years old, the deputy governor, and everybody in the cabinet, they are all young people. And they are doing well. So, youthful participation in governance is very, very key to our advancement. And I strongly believe that President Tinubu is the last president that Nigeria will have who hit the age of 70. So Nigerians should start believing that we are going to raise a president who will be from 40 years and above, no more 70. I think their era, we can no longer begin to elect presidents who are older than Nigeria itself. Thank you very much.
All right, I talked about women. Okay, maybe you wanted to talk about that in the national level.
Yes, I mentioned the issue of women, and I told you that women participation in politics in Nigeria have still not gotten to the optimum level it should supposed to be. Right. But I'm telling you, I'm giving you a typical example of Kogi State, where it has been demonstrated. In my local government, I'm from a local government they call Bassa local government. There are 10 wards in Bassa local government, and 7 of the councillors in Bassa local government are male, while 3 of the councillors are female. Right. The council leader, who is a speaker at the local government level, is a female. Right. And that is how it is in all the local government. You see, that is why I say when political parties have an understanding that, look, power should get to the grassroots. Right. It brings everybody on board. Right.
So we're gradually running out of time. I'd like to ask my last question for tonight. Some people have complained about elite capture of our political parties. What do you think about that? Then also, what are you seeing for Nigeria as we move into the future? Maybe when we get to 70, 80 years as an independent country, what do you see? Are you seeing progress? Are you seeing unity? So that could just round off your thoughts. But the first question is about elite capture of our political parties.
Yes, the elites will continue to be at the forefront of our political participation. Do you know why? Electoral representation is not a small deal. It is no longer the way it used to be, where somebody can just come, contest election and win. You need a lot of parameters need to be fulfilled. One, you need funding. You need the people, and then you also need a lot of issues on security. Government alone cannot provide room for political participation to fester. And that is why we said civic education. We need to work on that so that the people at the grassroots should know that power actually belongs to them.
Right. So for the future, where do you see Nigeria politically?
Yes, I'm seeing Nigeria very, very well. Nigeria will do well. Nigeria will no longer go back to what it used to be. And as you can see, in the last 2 years, there's a lot of significant changes across the federation, significant changes in states. If you come to Kogi State now, there are a lot of significant changes. The health insurance I think Kogi State is running one of the best health insurance schemes. And kudos to the governor of the state, Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo. And I can tell you categorically that it has also shifted. The scheme has shifted and it has incorporated even pensioners. And the scheme is working very, very well. Coupled with the fact that primary health care facilities are being rehabilitated, rebuilt, and repositioned to deliver effective health system in the local government areas.
Thank you so much, Honorable Solomon Bawa, a chieftain of the APC in Kogi State, for coming on the program. Abwa, for coming on the program tonight, Honorable Solomon Abwa. We really do appreciate your time, And we hope political parties in Nigeria will be able to contribute significantly to the progress of this nation. And we hope Nigeria becomes or gets to being the great country that we all hope and dream of. Thank you so much. And people, that's the size of our program for tonight. As we always say on this program, love Nigeria and do it the best you can. Do the right thing every time and anytime. My name is Upong Musa in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.